Captain Ibrahim Traoré is on the verge of being terminated, and for many, it's a miracle he's still alive. What he's doing has never been seen before in modern African politics. A sitting African president openly confronting the West, stripping away their influence, and pushing them out of his country. That alone is enough to send shockwaves through international power structures. But here's the twist. They didn't expect him to survive. And yet, not only has Traoré survived, he's thriving. Why? Because he played a smarter, quieter game than anyone anticipated. Before they could react, he fit the script. So what exactly did Traoré do that made him an unshakable figure in this new African resistance? That's what we'll uncover in this video. When Traoré took power in 2022, few could have predicted how quickly he would redraw the geopolitical lines in Burkina Faso and across the Sahel. Before him, Burkina Faso, like many former French colonies, was still caught in the shadow of colonialism. France wielded outsized influence, politically, economically, and militarily. It was the kind of presence that dictated internal decisions under the guise of partnership. Traoré saw through it and decided to act. But unlike past leaders who made decorations without backup, Traoré executed a well-calculated plan. First, he moved silently. While publicly calm, he was strategically cutting ties behind the scenes. Dismantling the French grip piece by piece, he expelled diplomats. He shut down pro-Western media masquerading as neutral journalism. He made sure that when the West realized what was happening, it would already be too late to stop him. He didn't just challenge France, he humiliated them, and the West took notice. However, Traoré knew that confronting Western power alone was political suicide, so he sought new alliances. Inspired by Pan-African ideals and disillusioned by years of failed Western-backed solutions to poverty and terrorism, he turned eastward, toward Russia. This wasn't just about symbolism. Burkina Faso began shifting policy, seeking military support, investment, and ideological alignment with nations that didn't view Africa as a playground for extraction. Russia, eager to expand its influence and confront Western dominance in Africa, welcomed Traoré's approach. The result? A strategic partnership based on mutual interest and shared resistance to neocolonialism. The West responded in predictable fashion. Propaganda machines kicked into gear. Media outlets painted Traoré as a dictator. Intelligence circles whispered of coups, and the Wagner Group, Russia's military proxy, was suddenly accused of atrocities, without solid proof. While Western military interventions across Africa continued unchecked. This double standard wasn't lost on Africans. If the West could send troops to assist African nations, why is it controversial when Africans choose different allies? In truth, Traoré's actions reveal a deeper struggle. Africa's fight for sovereignty in a world still dominated by former empires. His revolution isn't just political, it's philosophical. It's about who gets to decide Africa's future, its people or those who once colonized them. And now, Burkina Faso is no longer alone. More African nations are watching closely. Some are already inspired. The question is no longer whether Traoré will survive, but how far this movement will spread. Since France's departure, Russia has become Burkina Faso's primary source of military hardware and ammunition. This crucial support has significantly strengthened the country's counter-terrorism capabilities and deepened ties between Ouagadougou and Moscow. While France once denied Burkina Faso the weapons needed to defend itself, while terrorism mysteriously increased, Russia stepped in and broke that vicious cycle. The West's usual formula of fueling conflict and then offering help failed this time. But this new relationship goes far beyond the battlefield. Economically, Burkina Faso has turned to Russia to diversify its partnerships. Deals have been struck in infrastructure, mining, and energy, bringing in much-needed resources and creating a foundation for long-term growth. Russia is not just a military ally, it has become a political shield. On the global stage, Moscow has repeatedly defended Traoré's administration from Western criticism and pressure, giving Burkina Faso the space to make sovereign decisions without fear of external punishment. And here's something many don't realize. Vladimir Putin's open support has significantly boosted Traoré's legitimacy, both domestically and internationally. Russia's endorsement, coupled with military and financial aid, has cemented Traoré's grip on power. It gave him the backup he needed to stand up against the West during the early stages of his leadership. But something has changed. Traoré no longer stands behind anyone. After consolidating his internal support and military control, he now stands on his own, as one of Africa's most influential leaders. Since coming to power in 2022, Traoré has redirected Burkina Faso's foreign policy with striking clarity. His vision is simple: partner with those who respect us, not exploit us. That's why Burkina Faso's pivot toward Russia was not just tactical, it was ideological. And Burkina Faso gave something in return: credibility. By standing with Russia on the international stage, Burkina Faso has become a rare African voice openly supporting Moscow, even backing its military campaign in Ukraine. This shocked the West. It wasn't just a diplomatic shift. It was a political earthquake. It sent a clear message. Africa will no longer blindly adopt Western definitions of good and evil, friend or foe. It echoed a warning Nelson Mandela once gave: the enemies of the West are not automatically enemies of Africa. Traoré has taken that idea and turned it into policy. For decades, African nations were expected to ask permission before crafting independent foreign policies. Those days are over. Ibrahim Traoré has declared that Burkina Faso, and by extension Africa, will now make decisions based on its own interests, not those of foreign powers. This isn't just a rejection of neo-colonial influence. It's a blueprint for a new African foreign policy, one rooted in sovereignty, realism, and self-respect. Traoré urges African countries to determine their own allies and adversaries based on geography, security, and national development, not based on Western preferences. This new approach challenges decades of post-colonial conditioning and forces a rethink of how Africa engages with the world. No one has ever gone this far. Historically, any African leader who dared express these ideas risked assassination or forced removal. But Traoré has not only said it, he's doing it, and the world is watching. In one of his boldest moves yet, Traoré announced plans to maintain diplomatic ties with North Korea, one of the West's most vilified states. This sent a clear signal. Burkina Faso will no longer allow Western nations to dictate who its friends or enemies should be. Burkina Faso's relationship with North Korea has fluctuated over the years, depending on the political alignment of whoever held power. But under Traoré, that alignment is now firmly anti-imperialist and pro-sovereignty, no matter how controversial. Add your voice to the total liberation of Africa by leaving a comment in the comments section below. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more informative videos like this one. Let's proceed. In the early years of their relationship, North Korea provided Burkina Faso with technical and agricultural assistance, planting the seeds of an ideological partnership. But things took a defining turn in 1983, when Marxist revolutionary Captain Thomas Sankara rose to power. Seeing North Korea's communist system as a political ally in his fight against imperialism, Sankara quickly established formal diplomatic ties and launched a bold new chapter in bilateral relations. He visited Pyongyang twice, once as prime minister and later as president, laying the groundwork for military cooperation and a shared anti-colonial ideology. His actions even led to the creation of a DPAC-Burkina Faso Friendship Association, symbolizing deeper cultural and ideological unity between the two nations. When Sankara was assassinated in 1987, His successor, Blaise Compaoré, initially continued this tight alliance. In 1988, Compaoré himself visited North Korea, further cementing ties. But that didn't last. A major shift came in 2009 when Burkina Faso, serving as a temporary member of the UN Security Council, voted in favor of Resolution 1874, supporting stronger sanctions against North Korea over its nuclear weapons program. To many observers, this move was no coincidence. Compaoré, the man accused of orchestrating Sankare's murder, was widely seen as operating under Western influence. Some analysts even argue that Sankare's growing relationship with North Korea was one of the reasons he was targeted for elimination. After all, alliances like these threatened to upend the global order dominated by Western interests. At the time, North Korea wasn't even considered a major threat to the West. But today, the dynamics have changed, and so has the West's tolerance. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who came to power in 2022, is not just renewing past relationships. He's reigniting an ideological confrontation. His bold decision to re-establish ties with North Korea has sent shockwaves through global diplomatic circles. After 6 years of silence, on March 30, 2023, Burkina Faso officially restored diplomatic relations with Pyongyang. This wasn't just symbolic. Facing growing threats from terrorism, Traoré hopes to benefit from North Korea's military expertise, particularly in weapons training and defense strategy. But it's also about more than just military hardware. It's about sovereignty. By aligning with North Korea, Burkina Faso is making a clear statement. It will no longer limit its foreign policy to the approval of Western powers. The agreements signed between the two countries include cooperation in mining, agriculture, healthcare, research, and military training. It's a calculated move by Traoré, signaling his intent to diversify Burkina Faso's global partnerships beyond the traditional Western orbit. But here's where things get even more complicated. North Korea is infamous for its nuclear weapons program. And while there is no official statement about Burkina Faso seeking nuclear technology, the possibility can't be ignored. Access to nuclear capabilities would drastically shift the power dynamics, not just for Burkina Faso, but for Africa as a whole. Because, as we've seen with North Korea, once a nation controls nuclear technology, Western powers lose their leverage. Sanctions, useless. Threats, ignored. Isolation, ineffective. Could this be what Traoré has in mind? It might sound far-fetched, but it's not impossible. If Burkina Faso were to even begin exploring nuclear potential, whether through research, partnerships, or training, it would mark a radical step toward total independence from Western dominance. And this is exactly what the West fears. Because once African nations stop relying on Europe and the United States for military protection, development funding, or political validation, once they start crafting foreign policy based on their own interests, then the entire post-colonial structure collapses. And with it, the West's ability to exploit Africa for its own economic gain. This is why Traoré's growing alliance with Russia and North Korea is more than just symbolic. It's potentially revolutionary. If Burkina Faso succeeds in this realignment, it could trigger a domino effect across the continent. Other African nations, tired of empty promises, exploitation, and foreign interference, might follow suit, choosing sovereignty over subservience. And if that happens, the West will have lost its last stronghold. A new Africa will be born, one that no longer asks permission to be free. Do you believe Burkina Faso's partnership with North Korea is a path to power or a step too far? Is this the beginning of Africa's full emancipation or the start of a global confrontation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned. This story is far from over. We are entering a new era, one where Burkina Faso could become the epicenter of a Russian-dominated order in West Africa, potentially displacing centuries of Western dominance. And there's a reason for that. Burkina Faso possesses all the ingredients necessary to become a major player in this global power shift. Strategically located in the heart of West Africa, it shares borders with two critical allies, Mali and Niger. These countries are also undergoing their own transformations, and together they form a geopolitical triangle that's quickly becoming the new front line in the struggle for African sovereignty. Burkina Faso's abundant natural resources, especially gold and manganese, add to its value. These resources make it not only a more attractive partner for Russia, but also provide the economic leverage needed to solidify political alliances and repel Western pressure. On top of this, Burkina Faso is locked in a continuous war against terrorism. This provides a direct pathway for Russia to offer military support, including weapons, training, and strategic coordination. This security collaboration is not only welcomed by the Burkina Faso government, it's actively encouraged. But what makes this moment even more historic is that Burkina Faso isn't just aligning with Russia behind closed doors. It is projecting that alignment outward, sending a signal to other African countries. You no longer have to follow the West. If Traoré's Burkina Faso succeeds, it could become a model for the entire continent, a beacon of sovereignty that shows what's possible when an African country takes back control. That possibility has terrified Western powers, and for good reason. Because this isn't just about one nation realigning. It's about triggering a chain reaction across Africa, a continental realignment that could weaken Western influence on core values like democracy, human rights, and good governance, terms that have often been used selectively to manipulate African governments. And this vision isn't theoretical anymore. We are seeing its first concrete form in the proposed confederation between Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. This bold initiative aims to deepen political, military, and economic integration, creating a regional bloc united not by colonial legacy, but by Pan-African ideals and a shared rejection of foreign control. If successful, this confederation will be the first building block of a Pan-African alliance that isn't beholden to the West, but aligned with new global partners like Russia, China, and North Korea. It's more than just a regional pact. It's the blueprint for the United States of Africa. A vision long dreamed of by leaders like Kwame Nkrumah, Muammar Gaddafi, and Thomas Sankara, now revived by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who may just be the most determined African leader yet to challenge the West's grip. But unlike past visionaries who were isolated or assassinated, Traoré is not alone. He is working in concert with like-minded leaders in Mali, Niger, and possibly beyond. Together, they are building a new African order, backed by non-Western powers, who share an interest in seeing Africa free from neo-colonial domination. This proposed confederation aims to go far beyond existing organizations like ECOWAS, or even the African Union, which have often failed to protect member states from foreign influence. Instead, it seeks to create a binding institutional and legal framework, a structure that can coordinate economic policy, military strategy, foreign diplomacy, and shared governance. This is the Africa of the future, a continent united not by borders drawn in Berlin, but by shared values, resources, and a common vision for true independence. The Confederation will become a symbol of African sovereignty, proof that African countries can work together, pool their strengths, and speak with one voice in global affairs. It will give Africa a powerful diplomatic presence, the ability to shape international policy, and the freedom to choose its allies, whether they be Russia, China, North Korea, or any nation that respects Africa as an equal. At that point, it becomes clear, Captain Ibrahim Traoré is not just a national leader. He is Africa's most formidable challenge to Western hegemony. His support for Russia, China, and North Korea represents a strategic break from the past, opening new possibilities for alliances that prioritize African interests, not foreign profits. These partnerships are more than geopolitical moves. They are a statement. Africa will no longer be controlled. Africa will decide for itself. Do you believe the Confederation of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso can spark a continent-wide transformation? Will Africa finally unite to break free from Western control? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. The revolution is already happening. Will you be part of it? After laying the foundation of military and diplomatic independence, Captain Ibrahim Traoré's bold geopolitical strategy has entered a new phase, one that carries a vision for the entire continent: the establishment of a Pan-African Confederation. If this confederation succeeds, it will reshape Africa's power dynamics, foster deeper regional integration, and serve as a powerful counterweight to Western influence. But to understand Traoré's motivations, we need to go deeper. His clear and uncompromising rejection of Western dominance is not a reckless act. It is a calculated response to centuries of exploitation, economic inequality, and a global order built on injustice. His actions are both ideological and strategic, rooted in a desire for self-determination, economic sovereignty, and continental unity. This stance is not without danger. Leaders like Patrice Lumumba, Muammar Gaddafi, and Thomas Sankara were assassinated for daring to think the same way. But Traoré is still standing. Why? Because this time, things are different. Unlike his predecessors, Traoré is not isolated. He is backed by two of the most defiant and powerful anti-Western figures on the planet: Kim Jong-un of North Korea and Vladimir Putin of Russia. These alliances provide more than just military or diplomatic support. They are geopolitical deterrents. Any harm to Traoré could easily be interpreted as a direct challenge to the authority of Moscow or Pyongyang. That's a gamble Western powers are not eager to take. Both Kim and Putin have shown time and again that they do not tolerate provocation lightly. They are known for their retaliatory foreign policy, and any Western-backed plot against Traoré could trigger a swift and devastating response, from diplomatic retaliation and economic countermeasures to military escalation. And make no mistake, the international community is watching closely. Any attempt to eliminate or overthrow Captain Traoré, no matter how covert, could backfire spectacularly. It could damage the West's already fragile moral authority, fuel global outrage, and further push African nations into the arms of non-Western powers. This is the new reality. Africa is no longer alone, and its leaders are no longer easy targets. Today, the world is witnessing the emergence of a Pan-African movement with teeth. A movement that can defend itself. A movement with nuclear-backed allies. And Captain Ibrahim Traoré is at the center of it. He is not just fighting for Burkina Faso, he is fighting for a new Africa. But the question remains: can he survive the same fate that silenced revolutionary voices in the past? Can he outmaneuver the covert threats, the economic sabotage, the political pressure, and the military plots? Let's be honest, the danger is real, but so is the hope. Because this time, Africa is rising together. With each alliance, with each declaration of independence, with each call for unity, the continent grows stronger and harder to control. What are your thoughts on the path taken by Captain Ibrahim Traoré? Can he survive the traps that claimed Sankara, Lumumba, and Gaddafi? Or is he the one who finally breaks the curse? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep exposing the truth and documenting the rebirth of Africa, from the people, for the people. The time is now. The battle is real. Africa is rising.